Hello. Today I'm going to do my first ever book review. The books I've chosen are from the Fantasy Steampunk genre, of which steampunk is a new genre to me. These are the only steampunk books I've ever read. And the books I've chosen are the Crobuzon Series by China Mieville. Now currently the series comprises 3 books, and the author has said, however, that he would love to write more of them, as he loved writing them. I hope he does, because I loved reading them. Now the series starts with Perdido Street Station, the middle one is The Scar, and the third is Uncountable. Now, a little bit about the author. China Mieville is an Englishman and he lives in London. The fact he lives in London is very important, as he obviously loves living in the city, as the influence of the city is prevalent in all his books. The description of all urban environments and just the feel of the city environment as a living, breathing organism is amazing. I mean, I've read very few books that can compete with it on that level. Now, for the first book, Perdido Street Station. First of all, this is the biggest of the 3. It's 866 pages, I believe. So it's certainly not a quick night's read, and it is set entirely in the city of Crobuzon. Now, the basic premise of the plot is that a mistake is made and a very unusual and unbelievably lethal creature is released into the environment, and essentially people start getting killed by this creature. Nobody knows what's going on, and let's say certain adventures happen to try and find out and in the end stop it. Now, the language he uses in this book is particularly noteworthy, as this is set entirely in the city, and as I previously noted about his fascination with living in London, this shows really greatly, actually the most in this book. The city is a true living, breathing organism, and he describes little details off to the side. He does describe it in such a way that you get the feeling of it just being moving. So the city is evolving and just living the same as the people are. And I loved this feature. I thought it was truly well written. And although sometimes there are a few details that you would like to know a bit more about, that's almost irrelevant. The nature of the book itself is truly astonishing. Now, onto the second book, The Scar. This book takes place after the events of the first book have wrapped up, and you're not told exactly how long. It's roughly somewhere between 6 to 18 months, and it only spends a very short amount of time in Crobuzon. About the first 40 pages maybe is in the city. The primary character, which is called Bella Coldwine, she's trying to escape the city due to the events of the first book, which I'm not going to give away, but suffice to say that she's trying to escape the city urgently, and she ends up spending her time on a floating pirate city. Now, to start with, I was a bit sceptical about how could a floating pirate city work, but you actually come to love this city and you almost want to visit it by the end of it. An example would be the pirate city from the third Pirates of the Caribbean film. Think of that, just bigger, an awful lot bigger. It is sailing around the ocean and it is trying to find something. Now again, same as the Perdido station, the detail level aboard the ships is amazing. They will also go onto land at parts, and more importantly, they have airships floating above, and they have underwater means as well. You get the feeling of the city not just from walking around it, but from underneath it. And also, likewise, you also get a view of the city from above. Now this triple view of the city, I think, works extremely well. And if you've read the first one, which you don't need to understand the plot, it describes the city in ways that you would not otherwise think. All the little details that you would not see from just characters walking along normally, you learn to love. Now onto the third book, Uncountable. This is set in the city for half of the time, and on a roving journey for the other half. Now the plot is that, due to the events of the first book and partially of the second, there is a revolution going on in the city, and a set of characters set out to try and find the title thing called Uncountable. Now this book, it does take a lot longer to get into than the other two, as you do not know what the Uncountable is for a remarkably long time, and even then you still don't entirely know where the book's going to end up. So if you've read the other two, then you will want to read this, and it is worth it. It is a brilliant book, but if you don't read the other two and read this, I wouldn't think most people would actually give it too much time if they didn't know something about it, because it is slightly off-putting. Now the language used, again, is obviously urban, so the small details are again described and the living city brought back up, but this time there's a revolution going on, so parts of the city that you grew to love in the first book are affected and possibly may change. I thought this idea was actually extremely good, and it made the whole book very worthwhile. In the first book, the whole driving force of the book and sort of motivation as such is essentially desire. It is desire of one person that then triggers off another, and then his desire triggers off other things, and then people keep wanting their own agenda all the time without caring about what may happen or what it may affect, and a chain reaction takes place. The second book is all about curiosity. It is the fear of the unknown and the idea that you want to go and conquer said unknown, and it works extremely well for the book, and obviously being set at sea helps enormously. The third book is all about freedom, liberty and equality, and the people in the book, all they want is change and freedom to do what they want without the apparent repression from the previous regime. So my personal opinion is that I truly love these books. I thought they were astonishing, if not a bit difficult to get into, and I would recommend them to anybody who is wanting to read a different kind of fantasy books and who doesn't mind a bit of a challenge, to be honest, or if somebody's looking for a particular challenge and wants to get into the fantasy genre as a whole. Now, I think that's pretty much it for this review. I hope I've covered everything that a review should cover, so if I've missed some aspect that you should do in a review, then please let me know, and I will make sure that from now on that is included in future reviews. I hope you found this interesting. So with that said, I'll say goodbye. See you next time.